What's going on? It is 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Christopher. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Friday around 12 noon Eastern time, sometimes a little bit later when our technology does not want to cooperate with us, but we're here now, and what we're talking about today is your sphere of influence. Now, if you're new to real estate, one of the biggest questions when you're new to real estate, and really at any point in real estate, is how do I get leads? Either how do I get my first leads or how do I get more leads? And one of the greatest sources of leads are your sphere of influence, meaning people that already know you. And this is especially important when you're starting out to capitalize on these leads, because there's other ways you get leads, but usually those other methods of gaining leads are going to involve either buying them with money, either you're buying them from a company like Zillow or something like that, or you're joining a broker that maybe has some sort of structure where there's some sort of payment that you have for fees. Maybe you're out working, doing the work. Maybe you're out there knocking on doors. That might not cost you money, but that is costing you time. And that's also a precious commodity as well. So what about the people that already know you? Remember this very important detail. Every single person needs a place to live. Everybody needs what we have to sell. Maybe not right this moment, maybe not right this day or this month or even this year, but if you maintain the relationships with these people and they look to you as a real estate expert, you're able to cash in on many transactions for years to come, but you'll also sift through and find some current transactions, maybe not in your sphere of influence, but who your sphere knows as well. So this is almost like that multiple degrees of connection type of thing that can really help propel your business, to give it a nice jump-starting platform so you get your feet wet, you can start closing some deals, and then when you kind of got a handle around things and how to do this and how to do this successfully, that's when you could start pouring some money into this to start really scaling up the amount of leads it is that you're working with, and whether that's time you're investing or money that you're investing to build your business larger. If you don't get down the fundamental basics and mechanics of working with a client, you'll burn through those leads. So if you start spending money on leads right from the get-go, you could very quickly run out of money if you don't get it right before you run out of money to buy more leads. So being able to build relationships with your sphere of influence, this also builds a lot of the more soft skills that are really hard to teach and things you really have to develop yourself. So what we're going to be talking about today on today's episode is your sphere of influence and really how to lead generate from your sphere of influence. We're going to frame this from the perspective that you just got your real estate license, but if you've been practicing real estate for a while, you could easily tweak a lot of the same stuff it is that we're talking about today to reach a little bit deeper into your sphere of influence. So I'm really excited to bring today's show to you. I'm John Christopher. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where today's topic is sphere of influence. And specifically lead generating from your sphere of influence. So who is your sphere of influence? If you might have heard this term before, it means people that know you, that you know and that know you, or some combination of the two. Maybe you just know them or they just know you. Whatever the case may be, those are people that you're bringing into your orbit. That's really what you think of when you think of a sphere. Okay, here's you, and now what people do you have orbiting you? What people do you have that are in your life? Now, if you're starting in real estate, a great opportunity for this could be coworker. Let's start actually with family. So you've got a lot of family in your life. Or maybe you don't have any family, maybe you have people that are like family. But you have those people that you have the really close connection with. We'll just generically call them family, but these are your closest connections. And look, when I say connection, I don't mean like some business contact. This could be your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or your children or whoever it may be that you are literally the closest with. Your relationships. This is all we're talking about here, is just what level of relationship do you have with them. And at first, it's really hard to think of these people as money. So just think of the people that are closest to you. that have the highest degree of trust for you. And then you have people that, again, are a little bit further out. Maybe this is going to be like friends. Maybe not the family friends, the really close friends, but people that you're still pretty close with. Then you also have maybe, say, co-workers. If you're transitioning into real estate, people kind of in this, and looking at these, they don't necessarily have to be a coworker, a friend, or a family member. What I'm trying to emphasize here is there's going to be people that you have relationships with that are going to be familiar with you, close with you, and extremely close with you. And any one of these people, even the people that are just familiar with you, those are still connections in your sphere of influence. Now, already, if you just start to take inventory of who do you already have just in these spheres that we're talking about here, your family, your friends, your co-workers. This could be people that you attend events with. Maybe you go to a church together. Maybe your kids play soccer together. Whatever it is, of people that you're meeting on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily about real estate. That's the thing with sphere of influence. Sphere of influence isn't necessarily with the idea of I'm looking for business right now and who these people are and why you have a connection with them. Your sphere of influence are, these are the people I have connections with. Is there a possibility I could do business with them? Or this is where you really start to reach a little bit further and really tap into a lot bigger potential. Not just the people that you know, but the people that they know. So not just the people in your sphere, but all the people that they're going to have in their spheres. And your sphere of influence will grow exponentially as you bring in just one person to your sphere, because that one person knows people who know people who know people who know people, and eventually we make enough connections to touch the entire population. What is it, like 6 degrees of separation, 7 degrees of separation, something like that, and all of a sudden you're in contact and in connection with the entire population. So you could very quickly have a very large audience when you already just lean into the people that you already know. But now the question is, well, how do you turn this into business? And that's the trick. With the sphere of influence, you're not choosing your family members based on whether or not you're going to do business with them, or what business potential exists with them. You're not choosing your friends, typically not choosing your friends because of business potential. You're not choosing your coworkers usually because of business potential, unless maybe you're running a business, which in that case you are probably doing that for to invest in business potential. But all of these people are connections that you have for other reasons. So now how do you potentially generate a lead from this? Okay, they know you. Now, how do we do business with them? How do we fill in the gap between them knowing us and us doing business with them? Well, we're not quite at the level yet of getting a contract with them because maybe they don't even know we're in real estate. Well, what about that? How are we going to do business with them if they don't know we're in real estate? How are we going to get a closing? Well, in order for us to get a closing, we've got to have a contract. Well, we're probably not going to be able to just call them up and say, hey, do you want to sign a contract? So we probably have to meet with them if we want to get them to sign the contract. But before we can meet with them, we have to see if they even need any of the things we would possibly have them sign a contract for. And what happens if they don't need any things we might possibly sell a contract for? That's okay. A lot of the sphere of influence is playing the long game on this. If you play the long game on this, and you wait until that long game starts to come to fruition, if you could establish a big enough sphere of influence, you might not have to pay a penny to lead generate. You might get more than enough leads than you know what to do with just off of your sphere of influence. For those of you that are really people, look, everybody could tap into a sphere of influence. I don't care how introverted you are or what your people skills or sales skills or anything like that looks like. Everybody has some sphere. They have somebody that they know, somebody that they interact with on a daily basis. Look, we could actually extend this one step further. Outside of this, and I would say maybe these are more acquaintances. And this might be just your day-to-day. of people you meet that you just have just the tiniest little bit of relationship with. Those also can be in your sphere. And ultimately, you're trying to really work people. You're trying to bring them further into orbit. Imagine you're a planet. You're a planet out there orbiting the stars. And the way that you bring in clients, they start to get in your orbit and your gravity starts to pull them in. That's really what you're trying to do here. And whether you're just meeting somebody at the coffee shop and you're trying to turn that into a lead, or whether you're paying for leads on some sort of platform, those people are at this level, and in order to really build a relationship that's going to be the most beneficial and bountiful that it can be, is to move them closer into orbit with you. And that doesn't necessarily meaning that you're going to adopt them into your family. That's not what I'm talking about here. But have you ever heard the expression of treating somebody like family? That's kind of what they're talking about right here. That you're taking such good care of them. It's like as if you would take care of a family member. And that's how a lot of people run their business. A lot of people don't, though, and that's where a lot of people get scared and get hesitant. Are you really going to take care of me? Or are you one of these people that are just trying to make as much money as they can, as fast as they can, and you don't really care much about me at all? There's ways to make money in real estate doing that, but doing it long term, that can be difficult, because that reputation will very quickly catch up with you. But if you're like most real estate agents that are truly in this for the benefit of their clients, as well as to make a bunch of money along the way, look, that's okay too. Yeah, we're making money, but we're making so much money because we're providing such a valuable help to clients. That's why they're paying for that. So we can afford to deliver this close level. Even as we scale our business larger, you build out a real estate team and still deliver this close-knit type of connection with your business. And so you've got to think of how to bring people in, but in the specific context of real estate. So you want to make people look to you for real estate. Now you've got to finesse this. Finesse is the key word when it comes to social media and lead generation from your sphere of influence. Finesse. What does finesse mean? Finesse doesn't mean shoving your business card in people's faces. Finesse doesn't mean the super salesy, like, hey, look, I could sell your house. Well, I don't need to sell a house. Finesse is about being a master, looking like you know what you're doing, looking like a true professional. Now, how do you do that? Well, you're there to solve people's problems. That's the only reason they are going to hire you for anything. If you want to sell a product, a service, anything, it better solve somebody's problem. In real estate, we're solving the problem of people not knowing what they're doing. Hey, I don't know how to buy a house. Can you help me do that? Sure, I can. It's going to cost this much? Okay, cool. Hey, I want to sell my house. How much is it going to cost? This much? Okay, cool. I don't know how to do that. I guess that's the going rate. I really have no idea even how much this even might cost or should cost. Or maybe I do and I want to negotiate that, but then you show me how much value you truly bring and I want to pay whatever it is that you're charging, or whatever the case may be. They're only going to exchange value with us if we're solving a problem for them. And in order for us to figure out what that problem is that we could possibly solve, we have to ask some questions. We have to do some fact-finding. We have to focus on building the relationship. So yes, you do want to have a light of real estate shining on you so people know that you're in real estate. Look, a great example of this, of having the real estate image without necessarily being a real estate clown. That's good. I'm going to start using that. You don't want to be a real estate clown. You know, the thing of clowns, and you see them in with people, like a clown coming up to somebody and then they're not really like wanting to deal and not having time with the clown. No one has time for clowns. No one has time for clowns in life. Don't be a clown, be a professional. And what does a professional do? A professional focuses on building a relationship and understanding what the potential needs might be. Might be. Because if we just start going right into, hey, you need to sell your house, that's not professional at all. That's a clown move. That's an amateur move if you just go, hey, do you need to sell your house? Now, granted, you ask that question enough, and you'll find somebody that eventually needs to sell their house. But again, now working in the finesse, not being a clown a little bit of, you know, hey, how long have you lived in your home? How do you like it? Have you ever thought about moving anywhere else? Look at how these are much better versions of asking that same question of, do you want to sell your house? You could just slap them in the face and say, do you want to sell your house? No? How about now? How about now? That's not going to work. You got to have some skill. And it's not hard. You just got to be creative with the way you're asking these questions and finding out this information and build up to it. Asking the question of, how long have you lived there? Have you ever thought about selling? That's a way better way to ask it than, do you want to sell? I can help you sell. Do you want to sell? Here's my card. There's no finesse there. Maybe you're talking to just somebody you're meeting on a day-to-day basis. Now, how do you have people see you in a real estate light? Well, look, I'm wearing a shirt that says Tampa School of Real Estate. I guarantee if people are out there walking in the street and they bump into me, they could read what my shirt says. And if they can't, that's a problem with your shirt. Doesn't need to be big and obnoxious. Maybe you don't want to wear a shirt, wear a name tag. A hat, something that says, hey, I'm in real estate. You don't necessarily have to wear a bright colored shirt that says realtor on it in big letters. I mean, you could do that. But something that has the image that you're a real estate professional. So you don't have to say it. So you don't have to tell people. They'll just see it and they'll just pick up on it. Maybe you're at your kid's soccer game and you're wearing your real estate shirt. Maybe you got a little real estate shirt and you're wearing it at your kid's soccer game. Why? Oh, because I just came from a showing. And you don't necessarily want to be obnoxious. Go to hey guys, I just came from a showing. That's why I'm dressed like this. Don't. But I mean, there's worse things you could do to make people know that you're in real estate. And another thing you want to do is be well versed in conversation of real estate. This is another way that you work your sphere. Because when these people realize you're in real estate, that's number one of getting them to realize you're in real estate, to reintroduce yourself. These people right here that are your friends, your family, your coworkers, the people you already have relationships with, you should be reintroducing yourself as a real estate professional. But now, what a lot of people are worried about, and this is why they're afraid to strike up a conversation about real estate, is they're afraid that people will think they don't know what they're talking about. And this is a problem that plagues most new agents. I know because I was a new agent at one time and this problem plagued me. I was afraid to talk to people about real estate because I really was like, I don't know anything. That was also, again, if you've heard my story about why you should take post licensing sooner rather than later, that was also during my time where I was like, I don't need to take post licensing. But yet at the very same time, if I look back on it and realize what I was doing here, I was afraid to have conversations with people, especially compared to right now. I could talk to people all day. I'm generally a more introverted person, believe it or not. But yet I could get in front of crowds of 50, 60, 100 people and talk about real estate. I could talk to people one-on-one about real estate. If you're going to talk about real estate, come on, let's sit down, let's have a conversation. Because I know what I'm talking about. And how do I know what I'm talking about? By ingesting information. And this doesn't just mean taking classes. I'm not big on the news, but one of my favorite publications that I love seeing their news articles is Tampa Bay Business Journals, because they post a ton of real estate related topics. And there's also the things you get from the Association of Realtors, the Realtor magazines. There's tons of real estate blogs out there. There's real estate books. There's real estate podcasts. There's all kinds of information out there about real estate. But now the news articles and things like that, that's really good because now that's something people want. There's a multi-billion-dollar industry, maybe multi-trillion-dollar industry, honestly, at this point, of news. So you could cash in on that and use that news to help you generate leads by talking to your sphere of influence. This could be something as simple and as indirect and as passive. Look, this is passive. You got to get off social media if you want to be able to really connect with your sphere of influence. But to use a social media example, imagine just sharing one of these articles about, hey, check out this amazing thing going on. One of the really neat things that has opened up recently in the past few years in the Tampa Bay area are all these lagoons. And they have all these little fun parks where you could spend a day there, but then there's also all these communities of homes, of new construction homes being built around these lagoons. That's exciting news. Think of all the people that are wanting to live in Florida right now. I was just talking to somebody in the elevator this morning who went to a business conference down in Miami last week. And he was saying that because people were coming from all over the country to go to this conference, they're like, wow, Florida's really awesome. Florida's really cool. I think I want to move here. Because Florida is a cool place to be. We just talked about this recently, about how hot Florida is and how attractive Florida is. Use that to your advantage. speak to that. And look, you could even get into things that are not so much about real estate, but maybe things where you're almost like becoming a spokesperson for your local area. That's a really great opportunity to get people to look to you for information, for expertise about, because if you think about what makes a good realtor, a lot of people get hung up on the things that are the same across the board. You know, negotiation skills and sales skills and people skills and technology skills and all these other skills that literally every single person needs to work on those skills. And that's the same for every agent. Those skills would usually be the same for the most part. But what about your location skills? What about your knowledge on the area, your knowledge on the product that you would be selling, the real estate in your market? You know, one of the things that I did that was really beneficial, and I'm sure I heard it or read it or something somewhere that told me to do this, but I would just literally go driving neighborhoods. When I'd be going to the grocery store or going to a showing when I'd actually have enough courage and confidence to get an appointment and did enough overanalyzation and over-research to basically be ready for that first appointment, I would go take the long way when I could, when I wasn't running late, to make sure that I could really start to get to know the area, because that local expertise is also important. So you could also showcase your local expertise. This could be a cool little local eatery. This could be a little thing to do, a park, a family activity, of whatever it is that makes you a person, that are fun things to do. People want other fun things to do as well, and that's a way that you connect with people. And there are agents out there that are the social butterflies. Now, again, you do not have to be a social butterfly to be successful in real estate. Now, if you want to generate all of your leads from your sphere of influence, well, that's for the social butterflies. Social butterflies are completely capable of 100% generating more than enough leads than they need to from their sphere of influence. But look, even if you're not a social butterfly, you still have some degree of a sphere of influence. And there's a lot of money sitting there waiting for you. You might not be able to get to that money now because they might not have a need for your services for a year, 2 years to come. But then maybe they have somebody in their spheres. They have somebody that they know who, when your friends, your family member, whoever it is that you know, they'll be confident making referrals to you. Number one, because they want to help you out. But they don't want to help you out at risk to their reputation. So they want to usually make sure you know what you're doing. So if you make it look like you know what you're doing, and then better yet, you actually know what you're doing, but at the very least make it look like you know what you're doing, and if you do know what you're doing, make sure it looks like you know what you're doing, because there's nothing worse than actually knowing what you're doing but not looking like you know what you're doing. Because you want all of your sphere to see you as the true professional. So even if they haven't done business with you, they see, wow, you know, you're so knowledgeable in real estate, you know so much. You know, I've got this friend that they've been talking about buying something, and they've talked to a few people, but they feel like everybody's just out to like make money off them, blah 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 blah. Would you mind giving them a call? Absolutely, I'll give them a call, because that's potential business right there. They just handed you a referral. And look, this connection, you might not have ever even done business with that person, not yet at least, but they trust you enough to refer their friends, their family, their co-workers, their acquaintances, whatever leads they might have to you. And again, you could really build this to where this could be the sole source of leads for your business. And there's a lot of real estate agents that do exactly that. Now, if you're not as social, that's where you'll maybe want to work in some marketing down the road. Because if you're not a social butterfly, this can be draining if you're doing this as the 100% sole source of leads for your business. But even if you're the type of person that doesn't thrive off of this type of stuff, this is a really great way to get free leads, number one. And number two, these are people that already have a relationship with you, so you don't have to also work on also building that relationship at the same time. They already trust you. And usually with that trust is there, you're a little bit more likely to be open, honest, direct with them. And it makes for a really great first couple of transactions as you start to kind of realize what you're doing. Because no matter how many trainings you do, no matter how much training you do, you're always going to have that kind of what if, is this not right? And that never goes away, because there's so many different possibilities and outcomes and scenarios that could exist in real estate. So there's always that kind of what if lingering in the back of our heads with a lot of this stuff, and we're just trying to hold stuff together as best we can. Now, usually we get really good at holding this stuff together, so all these deals end up closing. But until we get to that point, This is a really great, basically free, it's only going to cost your time. And look, the benefit of this is you already have relationships with these people. So that takes a lot of time out of the equation, because if you're going to pay for leads, whether you're paying to advertise your website or paying for Zillow or whatever the case may be to get leads, if you really want to grow your business to massive scales, you probably want to work in some paid lead generation down the road, but only once you're confident that you can work with these leads and you could turn through them and actually be profitable with that. With this, you just kind of could keep investing your time and building these relationships further. And when these relationships become strong, these will be fruitful for many years to come. As long as you stay top of mind. As long as they continue to stay in your orbit. As long as they're here circling around you, say, oh, real estate, yeah. Whenever I think about real estate, I think about John, or fill in the blank with your name. That's the mentality that you want to have. You want these people in your orbit. When they think about real estate, they think about you. If you could establish that level of dominance in their head, they will turn to you when they need real estate problem solved. They will send their friends and family to you when they need their real estate problem solved. And this is something you want to set up from day one, because again, it's also a really great opportunity for new leads. So look, that's your sphere of influence. If you haven't taken post-licensing yet, post-licensing talks about lead generation. It actually goes through working your sphere and establishing systems for follow-up and building a business plan and a lot of other real-world real estate topics. And this is a requirement to renew your real estate license. We've got live stream post-licensing courses available where you could go through an instructor-led live streamed class from anywhere you have an internet connection. There's a little chat box. If you have questions, you could interact directly with the instructor live during the class. There's all kinds of study materials we give you, so that way the exam that you'll take at the end to get your credit with the Florida Real Estate Commission and knock out your renewal requirement, we've got all kinds of great material in there to help you study for that. It's not really that hard of an exam, because this content, you're going to find it so much more captivating than what you did in your pre-licensing course. Now, unless you really like laws, if you really like laws and rules, you probably like the pre-licensing course better. But for those of you looking to find out how to grow your real estate business, what to actually do with your real estate license, what does it that a real estate agent actually does? Like, not just what it looks like on TV, but what do they actually do? What does that process look like? And what are the more detailed, fleshed out parts of that, rather than just the basic overview you get in your pre-licensing course? That is what post-licensing covers. So I would really recommend you get signed up for that as soon as possible if you have not taken it already. Now, if you don't have your real estate license yet, wait until you're licensed, because you won't get credit for this if you take it before you're licensed, but you could take it as soon as you have your real estate license. So as soon as you're licensed, you're eligible to take post-licensing, and it's going to be required by your first renewal. Now, I, like most real estate agents, waited to my deadline. And that's because I thought the post-licensing was just going to be another test on laws and rules and compliance and all that nonsense that I didn't think was going to make me any money. And, it's laws and rules are important, but they're not there to teach you how to make money. They're teaching you how to not get in trouble. Post-licensing, when I finally took my post-licensing course, I was like, whoa, okay, this is different. And so fast forward to now, 2021 here, we've got a post-licensing course where the curriculum really is, again, structured. It does have some laws and rules, because we have to have some of that in there to satisfy the Florida Real Estate Commission, as well as the things that are super important that you don't want to break those rules. But the main focus of this course is going to be setting up your business, laying the foundation. This isn't going to be the one training that takes you to be $1 million agent, but it's going to lay the framework so you understand this process in a much more in-depth fashion, where you kind of see the whole big picture of what you actually do with your real estate license, and you're building a plan for your success. That's one of the other reasons why I really recommend this course is before you go start talking to brokers, go through your post-licensing course, build out your business plan, figure out what it is that you're trying to do with your real estate business, and then you're going to be a lot more likely to find a broker that better aligns with what your plan is for success in real estate. So look, that's about all the time we've got for today. If you need to sign up for that post-licensing course, call us 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. You can also check us online at tampaschool.com. Again, that's tampaschool.com. That's about all the time we've got for today. If you have questions, 813-333-2676. I'll see you guys next week. Have you completed your post-licensing education yet? Look, I know you're probably thinking, hey, it's not my renewal deadline, I don't need to do post-licensing yet, but look, here's why you want to do post-licensing as soon as you've got your real estate license, as soon as you're able to take post-licensing. It's not just another course about arbitrary laws that you're never going to use again. It's about real-world, usable topics that'll help you grow your real estate business, to help you take it to the next level. Look, let me ask you this one question. If this course helps you close just one deal, if you get one extra deal from post-licensing, is it worth the investment? I'd say it is. We get paid pretty well, so one deal means a lot of money. Check out postflorida.com. That's postflorida.com for the full details about post-licensing. State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate